Carson Kvapil is 22 years old. He had never flipped a stock car in his life, not once. Then on Saturday night in Kansas, in front of a national audience, on lap 2 of a race he started from pole, he found out exactly what it feels like, and what he said afterward will surprise you. Carson Kvapil had every reason to feel good about Saturday night at Kansas Speedway. He had earned the pole position. His number 1 JR Motorsports Chevrolet, backed by base pro shops and built out with championship-winning crew chief Rodney Childers on the box, was fast. He was 5th in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series point standings heading into the race, and with a $100,000 Dash 4 cash bonus on the line, everything was set up for a big night. It lasted 2 laps. Qualifying had been canceled earlier in the day due to bad weather, which meant the entire field was locked in by points. No hot laps, no reading the track. You go green and figure it out. That detail matters because what happened next was directly connected to drivers running wide open before anyone knew exactly where the grip was. Off the start, Kvapil was running in 2nd place. He found himself 3 wide through the middle of the track exiting turn 2. Justin Allgaier was on his outside. William Byron was tucked to his inside. 3 JR Motorsports cars, all on the same team, all fighting for position within the first 2 laps of a 200-lap race. Then it happened. Byron made contact with the left rear of Kvapil's Chevrolet coming off. Turn 2. It was not a massive hit. It did not need to be. At those speeds, any contact to the rear quarter sends a car sideways fast. Kvapil tried to correct it. The car swapped ends. He spun across the track and drove straight into the outside wall. That alone would have been a bad wreck. But it was not close to over. Parker Retzlaff, running the number 99 Viking Motorsports Camaro directly behind Kvapil, had nowhere to go. He had no time to react and hit the rear of Kvapil's already compromised car at full speed. That second impact did something the first one could not do on its own. It forced air underneath the chassis. Once air gets under a race car at that speed, the car becomes a kite. The rear of the number 1 Chevrolet lifted off the ground. The nose followed, and then the car was completely airborne, rotating on its roof as it hurtled down the backstretch. It did not just flip once. It flipped and spun multiple times, rotating on its lid for the full length of Kansas Speedway's backstretch, shedding pieces of bodywork in every direction. It added barrel rolls before it finally lost momentum near the entrance of Turn 3 and came to a stop, upside down, on the apron. Officials threw the red flag immediately. The entire field shut down on track. Here is the thing that most people watching from the grandstands or at home would not have known in that moment. This type of crash, a car flipping on a 1.5-mile intermediate track, almost never happens. Kansas is not Talladega. It is not Daytona. You do not see cars go airborne at places like this. The aerodynamics of the next-gen car are specifically designed to keep the body planted on the surface. For Kvapil's car to lift the way it did required a very specific and very violent chain of events to all happen at the same time, which is exactly what occurred. Remember, this is only lap 2. The man who started on pole is now sitting in an upside-down car on the apron at Kansas. And the worst part for his team is that Rodney Childers had built one of the fastest cars on the property that night. Safety crews reached the car quickly. The race stayed red for just over 12 minutes. Crews worked to manually roll the car back onto all 4 wheels. The car was destroyed. Bodywork gone, the roof crushed, pieces spread across the backstretch. It took time to get the car stable enough to flip back over safely. Then the door opened. Carson Kvapil climbed out under his own power. He walked to the infield care center on his own 2 feet. He was evaluated by medical staff and released without serious injury. Retzlaff, who absorbed heavy front-end damage from his own impact, was also checked and released. Kvapil told reporters afterward that it was the first time he had ever flipped in a stock car race, not just in the O'Reilly series. Ever. His first career rollover happened at Kansas Speedway on lap 2 in front of a full house and a national broadcast audience. When Kvapil broke down the 3-wide moment, his thinking made complete sense in context. He said he expected Byron to hold his position and stay behind him. He was already planning to move up to the top of the track on the next corner to block any runs. The top lane had strong grip that night, and Kvapil knew it. The problem is that Byron did not hold. The contact came before Kvapil could execute any of that. One small miscommunication between teammates, and the whole night collapsed in under 2 seconds. His words after walking out of the care center were direct. "Not too fun," he said. He added that once the car started flipping, it was not actually as bad as he expected from inside the cockpit. What bothered him most was not the crash itself, It was what the crash cost his team. "Rodney and these guys brought a really fast race car," Kvapil said. "I was just hoping to get through the first couple of laps and kind of sort it out and fall in line. We didn't really get to that point. All in all, it was one heck of a ride. I was not ready for that. Just hate it for all the guys." One heck of a ride. That is how you describe a car that flipped down the entire backstretch of Kansas Speedway with you inside it. But now let's talk about what this wreck actually cost him, because the damage goes way beyond the car. Kvapil was one of 4 drivers competing for the Dash 4 cash bonus at Kansas. The bonus pays $100,000 to the highest finishing Dash 4 cash eligible driver in the race. With a DNF on lap 2 and a last place finish, that money is gone. He will not have a shot at it. The points hit is also significant. Kvapil came into the race 5th in the series standings. He had built that position across a split schedule that puts him in 3 different cars this season. He runs the number 1 primarily with Childers. He has made 2 starts in the team's number 9 entry, and he has 4 DGM Racing starts on his schedule, including the number 91 Chevrolet he ran earlier in the year at the Circuit of the Americas. Managing a championship run across multiple car entries with limited practice time and in a series where the competition is as deep as it has ever been requires consistency. A lap 2 DNF at Kansas on a night when the car was genuinely quick is the exact kind of result that can unravel a points run before it gains traction. Kvapil said it plainly after the race. "I feel like the points are such a big deal this season, and I felt like we were clinging on to 5th and a couple good races, and we were going to be hopefully top 3, top 4. Now he has to make that ground up." Meanwhile, William Byron, the driver whose car started the chain of events, continued his race weekend. He was still in the Cup Series field at Kansas the very next day. No suspension, no penalty announced at the time of the race, just a racing incident between teammates that one driver walked away from and the other kept racing. That contrast says a lot about how fast things can change in one moment inside a 200-lap race. His next start is at Talladega Superspeedway the following Saturday. That race airs at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the CW. The irony is not subtle. The type of wreck Kvapil just survived, the airborne rollover that everyone associates with restrictor plate racing, happened at an intermediate track. And now he is heading to the actual superspeedway where that kind of chaos is standard. He walked away from a crash that had no business happening at Kansas. Now he drives straight into Talladega, where crashes like that are expected every single week. Whether he goes to Talladega with something to prove or just grateful to still be racing is something only Carson Kvapil knows. What the rest of the sport saw on Saturday night was a 22-year-old driver get launched, flipped, rolled, and slid down an entire backstretch inside a destroyed race car and then climb out, walk to the care center, talk to reporters, and already be thinking about points. That is not nothing. The car that Rodney Childers built for Kansas is gone. The Dash 4 cash bonus is gone. Some ground in the standings is gone. But Carson Kvapil walked away from the most violent crash of the 2026 NASCAR season so far, which means everything that matters going forward is still intact. And that is exactly why, when the door opened and he climbed out on his own, the entire sport exhaled.